we use these 5-ounce containers for the majority of them. And this is, for example, just our spicy mix. Where we monitor the nutrient solution so that we make sure that they're both the nutrient solution and the room, to make sure that the conditions are all set properly. So can you see okay?
Yes, I'm seeing.
So the first box, like these are all the different sensors we have and their readings. So the first box is CO2. So we supplement the room with CO2 during the growing hours. Now the CO2 is starting to go down now because those lights are going to go off very soon. So we keep the CO2 usually at 1200. It's dissipating now as it becomes nighttime for them.
Right.
So that's the first one, and then the next, there's 2 boxes that monitor the pH level in the solution. So we want to keep the pH right around 6. So these 2 things indicate that pH level in the nutrient solution. And then we monitor the humidity within the room.
Yeah, but one question before I move on. With the pH, do we have 2 different nutrient mixing tank?
No, we just have 1 tank, but we have 2 different sensors just to make sure every once in a while one sensor will just go all wacko. So we don't want to put tons of pH in there.
Yes.
So we use 2 sensors that both have to be high before it adds in pH.
And this is basically the range, 6.1, 6.
Yeah, once it gets to around 6.15, 6.2, then it starts to, then we'll have to add pH down. So it always goes up as they grow, the pH rises, and we need to put something in to lower the pH.
Right,
Okay, so then we monitor the humidity in the room. So again, the evening is starting to come, so that temperature is starting to rise a bit in that room. And then this one just measures the temperature outside. So it's 86 degrees out in this room here. Okay, and then these other things are just, this measures the reservoir tank, that it doesn't get down below a certain level. If it does, then it sends us an alert to let us know that we need to that the plants aren't getting watered. So that it's when the tank drains through those pipes, it drains into a holding tank that pumps into the main reservoir. So we monitor to make sure water goes into that tank. Because the biggest problem with this type of method is if something breaks or the reservoir runs dry, then they don't get any water, and they're
messes up the whole system.
Yeah, they'll die within a day if they don't get water. So these things just kind of measure that, and then we have some 2 plugs, which just one of them turns the CO2 on. The other one doesn't do anything at this point.
Okay, so the room temperature.
Yes.
As I like this kind of stuff, the room temperature. What you have a range that the humidity. You have a range that you keep it between.
Yeah, we like to keep the humidity when the lights are on, usually below 70. We'd like to keep it below 60, but it's pretty hard to do. Especially in this environment, there's a lot of humidity where we are, so it's difficult. We have 2 dehumidifiers that run constantly in there to take humidity out of the air, as well as an air conditioner, obviously, that helps with that. We did have a problem with airflow, and the AC guy came out and added a few more ducts and everything so that we got better airflow. And we have a high efficiency AC unit, so it runs at a very slow airflow, which helps to not cause extra humidity.
Okay. So so we're going into another room.
This is where where the tank is, that this has all of our nutrient solution in it. So you can see, it's about half full now with nutrient solution, which we pump through these pipes that you saw in the other room, right? That's where the source of all of that stuff is.
Okay.
Okay, so these pumps are just on Wi-Fi timers,
Right.
and when every 4 times a day they just go off and circulate.
So when you say Wi-Fi, you mean it has its own built-in Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah, it's all built-in Wi-Fi, so we can monitor when they're being watered, or if there's, for some reason, it also monitors the amount of power used by each pump. So we can see that if the pump is not running for something, like the Wi-Fi plug turned the pump on, but it didn't use any electricity, then we know that there's something wrong with the pump. The pump is either broken or disconnected or whatever. So that's another way we can make sure that the plants are getting water.
Okay. What is the cost?
It's very expensive. So every month we use, now in Turks and Caicos, the electricity is not cheap here.
Right.
So we're almost over 45 cents a kilowatt hour, but we're running about $3,000 a month in electricity just to keep all of these things running. So it's a significant part of our costs, is the amount of electricity needed to run the lights. Obviously they're the biggest, and then the air conditioners and the dehumidifiers use quite a bit as well. I guess the only other thing is around the nutrients, right? So we obviously the water is supplemented with nutrients. So if you grow it in the ground, they get the nutrients from the soil. There's no soil here, so we have 2 nutrients we add to them. This is just a formula that we get that just provides the essential nutrients that they need to grow, and it's just it's 2-part solution. So we add this, which gives them most of their necessary nutrients, and then we add this calcium nitrate, which really is like a salty thing, which gives them the additional, allows them the green in the leaves and everything else. So we mix those basically 50-50 in with water, and we have we measure the parts per million of these concentrates in the water, and we like to keep it at like around 1,000 parts per million in the water. So we every week we measure the water to see how much it is, and then we add additional water as you would expect, and then add additional nutrients as well. And then, like we talked about, there's a lot of, we want to look up here, right? There's a lot of other, that we have an air pump that we use that aerates the water. So we have to have oxygen in the water because plants need oxygen to grow. So we supplement the water with air through air stones that we run 24 hours a day. And then if you look above that, that's the ozonator we talked about. So that runs ozone into the water, which kills all the bacteria and anything that's kind of living in the water. Okay.
Right.
And then that's basically, then the other thing, this thing here then is, this is our, this here is for pH, right? So that, we looked at the pH, and that will run, once the pH gets high, that pumps in our pH solution that we use to bring the pH down. So this is just standard hydroponic pH, almost like you put in your pool. If you have a pool, you have to raise or lower the pH. It's the same kind of thing. So we use that pumps that in as required.
Okay. So I don't remember if I asked you this earlier, but in terms, because we know farming involves crop production involves a lot of pesticides, but by looking, it seems like you don't really have a lot of need to use pesticides.
No, we don't use any pesticides. No chemicals. Besides the nutrient solution, we don't use any chemicals of any kind. We use the ozonator to naturally kill off any any problems that we would have, and then we use neem oil as well to, if we have any additional or as preventative measure, then we just use that, which is a naturally occurring substance anyways. So we don't use any pesticides or anything like that. I guess the only other thing we had, so this is, we talked about the CO2. So we have a CO2 container that
Right.
this is just basically the same CO2 that most people would know from their soda. You know, you makes all the bubbles in the soda. That's what does it is CO2. So this they use it at the restaurants at the bar, and we use it here to because plants take in CO2 to
Right.
grow and then give off oxygen. So if we give them a whole bunch of CO2, then they're going to have, just like if you have a whole bunch of oxygen,
Right.
you're going to grow and be stronger.
Right.
So we do that for the plants, and that is supposed to increase their growth by 30 to 40%.
No, 30 to 40%.
That's what
so
they
if,
say.
If some of these outdoor farmers or even greenhouse farmers could increase their CO2 levels, maybe they will get a better yield.
Yeah, but it's hard to do outside, right? Because it just goes
right.
everywhere. But that's part of the benefits of the inside
Yeah.
is that it's a controlled environment, so we can supplement things that work well for them, and obviously try to get rid of things that are more harmful for the plants.
Okay, right. Very interesting. All right, so in terms of your product, your finished product, how do you basically do packaging to?
Yep. So this is a big part of where we store all of our product.
Nice.
So this is just, we use these 5-ounce containers for the majority of them, and this is, for example, just our spicy mix. So we just cut them off just above the burlap, and so you don't have any roots or anything.
Right.
And then we just package them in these clamshells with a little bit of paper, because sometimes there's some condensation you'll get from the plants. So we just have that to once it goes in the fridge, right, to help combat that. But then we have labels we put on them for each type of product,
Right.
and that's really it.
Okay.
That's, there's another, so this is that mustard that we looked at,
Yes.
right? This is kind of the end product of that mustard. It has a nice red coloring, which is what the chefs like, and then a little bit of, some fancy leaves. Looks like
Yeah.
almost Christmas trees or something
Yeah.
like that. So,
Yeah.
that's a lot of what it is. It's just a lot of it's for show.
Yeah.
Although they are very nutritious
Right.
around here, they use it a lot for show.
Okay, and your label, what is the name of the product?
Yep, so this is the label that we use. Fresh Products, again, is the company. And then we just use this standard label. We have ones for each type of product. We looked at the spicy mix was the ones we just looked at. So we just have the name of the product, and then we stamp on the date that we harvested it, and send it off to the customers.
Okay. All right. So, folks, there we have it. This is Mr. Ken Kane, and he does microgreens in the Turks and Caicos Islands. And as you heard, no pesticide, no chemicals, none of that. Besides, just a little fertilizer to keep the plants growing. So, thank you for having me, Mr. Kane.
You're very welcome.
Hello, now that you're at the end, if this video was beneficial to you, please consider subscribing. To subscribe to my channel, please click the red subscribe button and then click the bell icon beside it so that you will be notified whenever I publish a new video. Thank you.